Hello. Today is Monday, February 12th, 2024. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. And in this area of Kentucky, Lexington, the temperature is currently 37 degrees and feels like 33. The high today will be 47 degrees. And we have a winter weather advisory from Monday, 7 p.m. until Tuesday, 7 a.m. There'll be cloudy with late day rain, highs in upper 40s and lows in the low 30s. Sunrise at 7:31 a.m. and sunset at 6:13 p.m. The wind will be around 7 miles per hour and the AQI is good at 36. So as I said, this is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. And if you're watching the sideshow on Facebook and Instagram, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Talk about it on WhatsApp. And if you're watching the sideshow on YouTube, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And of course, the sideshow coffee cup, black 11-ounce ceramic with the sideshow logo on it. Good for all beverages, hot and cold, dishwasher safe. Buy it from me for $17 plus shipping and handling. Pay me through Cash App, $TR Parker 1. So here we are Monday, coming off the Super Bowl 58 overtime. San Francisco 49ers at Kansas City Chiefs in Las Vegas. Halftime show, Usher and surprise special guest. Outcome with overtime, Kansas City 25, 49ers 22. Back-to-back wins for KC. Hasn't been done in 20 years. Football, Super Bowl 58. We're still in Black History Month, being February, and having done this for several years now, you would think that you might run out of things to say, things to talk about. But since it is history, then we're constantly discovering things to talk about. So today, I thought I would handle some ideas. And this one is perspective. Black history is full of trailblazers. Here are 7 everyone should know. Now, you may have noticed that I'm doing a lot of reading from various sources. And that's because the details are important and I wouldn't want to trust them to memory and miss those significant things. So this one, it's not very long, but here we go. February is Black History Month. It is a time when we reflect on, celebrate, and honor the work of African Americans whose sacrifice, advocacy, and innovations have elevated our economic, cultural, and societal structure. During a season when there are attempts to erase the teaching and publishing of Black history, this is all the more reason to amplify the undeniable loss, legacy, and limitless contributions of African Americans. While our journey as African Americans is marred with slavery, lynching, racism, and suffering, it also boasts of a people who are survivors and overcomers, proud and courageous. We are role models, scholars, builders, trailblazers, and leaders. We are innovators, icons, and innovators. Excuse me, we are inventors, icons, and innovators. Our imprint and impact has not been without obstacles, roadblocks, obstructionists, saboteurs, and people who thought we were inferior to them. Yet we did not collapse under the weight of discrimination, animosity, exclusion, and isolation. Instead, we have steadily produced works of genius under these circumstances. Our contributions have been transformative and future-focused, even though there has been little fanfare to announce the prolific advances and innovations of African Americans. The following represent just a few who have made an indelible impression. Dr. Patricia Bath, an ophthalmologist and laser scientist who invented the laser phaco probe and techniques that improve cataract surgery. Mark Hanna, PhD, a renowned engineer, is inventor of 3D technology for special effects, which advanced cinematography in films and television. Shirley Ann Jackson was the first African American to earn a doctorate from MIT. She was also the first woman in the history of MIT to receive a PhD in physics. Her research influenced the innovation of fiber optics cable, called ID, call waiting, and solar cells. Mark Dean, PhD, was a co-inventor of the personal computer and the color monitor. Marie Van Brighton Brown created the original design of security systems that are used today. She filed a patent for her closed-circuit TV invention in 1966. Jesse Eugene Russell is widely credited for capsulizing and creating the foundational technology of the smartphone. He holds several patents in mobile and wireless technology. Garrett August Morgan Sr. was the inventor of the three-position traffic signal of which our contemporary stoplights are derived. He also designed a protective hood that prevented smoke inhalation. This gear design evolved to what we use today as a gas mask. These 7 examples represent a microorganism of the countless inventions of African Americans. These African American inventors personify brilliance, tenacity, courage, and leadership. Many of the things that make our life better today was created by one of them. They did not launch their inventions exclusively for African Americans. It doesn't appear any of them thought that narrowly. They created inventions for the world, for tomorrows, and for everyone. Reflecting on African American contributions like these gives us an opportunity to reimagine how much greater we could be as a people if we broke down barriers, eliminated stigma, untethered ourselves from stereotypical behavior, and became authentic allies. The possibilities are astounding. For African Americans, our past was dark and harsh, but our success was inevitable. It is part of our lineage. It is in our DNA. It resonates in our soul. From the plantation to the presidency, from slavery to the Supreme Court, we express to our ancestors that their sacrifices were not in vain. Black History Month reminds us the power of perseverance, rewards of resistance, and the hard work, heroism, and hope that has helped all of humanity. When one of us rises, we all rise. So that was entitled Perspective, Black History is Full of Trailblazers. Here are 7 everyone should know. And it was published from Deseret News 9 days ago. A couple other things I wanted to talk about, and it's been in the news prior to me getting around to discussing it here or talking about it here. And banned books. I know as a child, a book was a fascinating thing. The library card was the first ID that I had that was exclusive to me and allowed me to explore the world of books. Now with the internet, you have Audible books and things of this nature, and you can get some applications where you can flip the pages and things of this nature. But banned books, the list was like so extensive, and most of them, a lot of them I remember from childhood. You know, Huckleberry Finn got banned because of the N-word. Charlotte's Web because somebody thought that animals talking would be misleading to children. A number of other books. Orson Welles, because of his projection to the future. In my high school years, I was really fascinated with science fiction, authors such as Asimov, Robert A. Heinlein. You know, I read everything. And then as time went on, James Clavell, Shogun, Taipei, a lot of books. So when I started delving into why the books were banned for various reasons, some of them were as slight as a librarian decided that the content of a book was not suitable for children, stashed it away in a part of the library and, you know, refused to let people have access to it. So, and then I think about books like The Color Purple by Toni Morrison. I didn't know that was on ban, you know, and it takes me back to the movie Waiting to Exhale. So I didn't know The Color Purple was on ban. I didn't know Fences was on ban, which prior to it being a movie was constantly on Broadway, you know, for years. I just did not know, did not even have conceptualized in my mind that it was that extensive, you know, and went on to that level. So I can understand certain things, you know, that you might not want to, expose children to without them having enough age-appropriate information to go along with what's being talked about in the book. So it was just fascinating. So anyway, Harper's Bazaar, I called it Harper's Bazaar. Now it's just Bazaar. I don't know what happened to Harper. No disrespect intended. But they have a list of banned books by state. By state. California has one banned book. And I'm just going by memory now. There was another state that had banned books listed for every letter of the alphabet except maybe Z and Y. So, you can take it for what it's worth. And then it all took me back to Fahrenheit 451. I got that from Audible Books, and because it was a free trial, I only got as far as chapter 1. But the movie came out. And as in the case of so many of these books, have come out as movies. Fahrenheit 451. Michael B. Jordan, if I remember correctly. So, even though we have the internet, to me, a book is always something, especially a hard copy, something that you can pick up And from the first page to the last page, have your own small journey without ever leaving the confines or the comfort of your home. Just thought I would say that. Bizarre banned books listed by state. The next one was Bitcoin. You know, in the news, Craig Wright has put out some claims that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, and not so much from his perspective. So he ended up somewhere in Britain having to prove it, which up to this point he has not successfully satisfied the court's opinion as far as evidence supporting that claim. But Bitcoin is something that I have been approached about, you know, from people saying they are miners, traders, everything else involved with it. People want to sell it to me. They want me to buy it. And then if I ask them if they bought any, they say no. After a bit of back and forth to get them to even admit that they have not put any of their money into any of it, but they want me to put my money into it. So this information comes with an advisory, just like when I talk to you about health things. You know, consult your physician. The same way with this, finances. You know, you can go to a professional person and, you know, get some real-time information as far as putting your money into it is concerned. But that being said, it first kind of struck my interest, and I've been like really paying attention the past couple of months, but off and on for a year at least, trying to understand what Bitcoin is about, cryptocurrency, and, you know, as a part of cryptocurrency. So once you can go to the ATM and, you know, put your card in and get Bitcoin, then it became a moot point as to whether or not, as to what was going on with it. You know, you can spend it, you can pay for things with it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's accepted as part of the coin of the realm, the dollar bill. But what fascinated me was one time I was asked to pay for something in Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin amount was negligible. But when it's translated over to dollars, it would have been in the millions. So Bitcoin started in the early 2000s, maybe 2009 or whatever, and it may have been less than $1 per Bitcoin and moved up to $1, which was a significant thing. And I think the concept was that there were so many Bitcoins available. And what kind of really alerted me, because I thought I read somewhere that all the Bitcoins would be out in 2030, which is like 6 years from now. But the latest thing that I've seen is now 2040. And again, you know, my suggestion, as with anything, if you're going to put your money into something, do it with the idea that you don't mind losing it. Then whatever outcome there is, win or lose, you know, you shouldn't be too emotional. So that being said, there are several sources. Crypto.com, you know, has a brief explanation of how Bitcoin works and things of this nature. But the idea was, if I'm understanding it correctly, that Satoshi Nakamoto, whether it's one person or a group of people, had a elevated understanding of computers and how they work in some other backgrounds that allowed him to create Bitcoin. And the premise was that it would not be controlled by governments or by any one person. And the understanding of that is that here in the United States, we have, Federal Reserve, so the dollar's backed by gold. We have people that tell us how much the interest rate is, whether it's going to go up or down, and various other things related to inflation and the economy. But Bitcoin was supposed to be outside of all of that. So my understanding was that you had so many Bitcoins from Satoshi Nakamoto, and you're buying them and selling them was supposed to be your profit. A lot of people, are baffled or confused or don't even want to deal with the stock market because they can't understand the profit and loss thing. We get a report every day on what it is, and I think Bitcoin was like over 43,000 the last time I looked, and it really, has continued to climb. Is what I wanted to say. So it went down. Let me see. Here we go. Currently is at $47,899. Jumped 1 penny. 47,900. Now it's going up 57 cents per Bitcoin. So now it's 901.31. So anyway, the idea was, instead of having to buy one whole Bitcoin, you could buy portions of a Bitcoin called Soshis. So that's how the little man was able to get in. So on crypto.com, the other part of it, this other man started Ethereum. So that's two different handles on it with the same premise that it could not be regulated or controlled by any one person or government. So you have these two things. So crypto.com, if you get into the buy and sell part of the app, has increments as low as $25. But again, like I say, don't put anything into anything unless you are allowing yourself to lose whatever it is that you're putting in. So again, my interest was accelerated because I thought that it was going to be all over in 2030, or the last Bitcoin being sold, or however the terminology that fits the subject is applied. But now I see that it's now 2040. So, as they say, rich people get rich and, poor people follow behind them. But all the other stuff outside is being said about Bitcoin. Crypto.com does have that offering, so if you think you want to take $25, if they will accept it, or increments above that, I wouldn't go more than 100. You know what I'm saying? Because you still got to keep a roof over your head, food in your stomach, clothes on your back. So look at it like lending a friend some money that they plan on giving back to you, so they say. Bitcoin. On the rise. Satoshi Nakamoto, whether it's one person or a group. This last one I wanted to put out there is kind of touchy, and I kind of stayed off of it, even though it is in the headlines. And that's in reference to Fannie Willis out of Georgia. Despite all the intricacies in her personal life, the last thing that I saw was that she would not, the lawyers had decided that she would not be called to testify in the Wade divorce proceedings. But even before Marjorie Taylor Greene waded in and, had her 2 cents to say, some of the initial filings that involved her, what perked my interest was because one of her responses not only did it address the issue, because The bone of contention is that whatever she was doing personally had some influence on what was going on legally with Trump. So the point is that the legal cases and charges were filed on Trump before her personal circumstances and situations, either started or took place. However you might feel about it. But the point that struck me was that Fannie Willis's father was a Black Panther in Washington, D.C. And after being a Black Panther, and I was always impressed by the Black Panthers, especially Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals walking around with guns and, all this kind of stuff. And at that time, I really didn't understand the law in regards to as long as they were not loaded, and what we often forget in relation to the Black Panthers is what they did in the community with breakfast programs and various other things that helped children and Black people in the community on a tangible basis. So anyway, he was a Black Panther, her father was a Black Panther who became a lawyer. And when he would go to work in his office, he took Fannie with him, Fani, which is a Swahili word, with him and allowed her to do age-appropriate things in the office. So her interest and exposure to legal matters, came from her father. And she pursued it, and to the point I think she opened her own law offices and things like that, and then switched to what she's doing now. So that resonated with me, having a background in the Black Panthers means that she's going to be tenacious. She's not just going to crumble because you say something. And her response in one of her, to one of the filings, amongst other things, was that she pointed out, while I'm being targeted for my involvement in this relationship, there are so many other examples of cases where lawyers are involved in personal relationships, even as one case where one person was on the prosecutor's side and one person was on the defense side, and they were in a personal relationship. So, and then she said, even in her own office, what wasn't mentioned was that she has two people that are working for her, and I just presumed that they were in a relationship, and they are white. So she brought all this forward, in her response, and that in most of these other cases, the people involved that were not being mentioned, as there being a conflict of interest, are white. But now everybody is weighted in like this is their opportunity. And again, I view it sometimes as like diverting people's attention, especially the public, because they don't really have all the details, pertaining to something, away from the main thought, which is Trump has been charged with these felony, breaking of the law. So whatever might be said about Fannie Willis, timelines notwithstanding, it's not taking anything away from the charges that are placed against Trump. So that was kind of like my take on that. But like I said, because her father was a Black Panther and a lawyer in Washington, D.C., she did come up in the atmosphere of legal proceedings. And Lawyers have decided that she would not be called to testify in the Wade divorce. Monday, February 12th, 2024, Black History Month 2024. February. This is the Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. That's it. Hashtag.